the Dad and Diesel, and today we got another correctional video to react to. I'm going to start doing some videos about corrections because I have served over close to 25 years in correctional facilities or settings, from sheriff's offices to private prisons to state prisons, county jails, women's, men's. I've done just about all of it, and so I would like to start reacting and helping those new people in the career understand it, and those who aren't in the field to understand it, because it's just a different world. It's a world that most people don't know exists, or they don't understand. It's different. It's just so different in there than it is out in the real world. And after so many years, us officers, we tend to become institutionalized just like the inmates, and our humor is different, our mannerisms are different. We become harder to hang out with non-officers. You start judging people and it's wrong, and then you develop bad habits because of PTSD, which I suffer from. And we see the worst of the worst every day of our lives. At least street officers, occasionally they get breaks and they get to see a lot of the good and the bad, when 99% of our days are filled with something negative. It's rare you can go a whole day without something negative going on. And it's not always violence or something. It could just be people not following the rules, and you have to take care of a group of people, or to the staff sometimes, because like I said, we're different. I've worked in many states. I'm currently working in one which I cannot reveal because it's against our policy. But if you've never been Dad and Diesel before, we started out as a reaction channel, and we're trying to grow into much more than that, and this is part of that. I want to help people, like I said, in the line of duty, and those who aren't understand this. Our very first video last week, it was a pretty decent video. This week I'm going to watch video footage on the news from a leaked Arizona Department of Corrections prison that shows a brutal assault. I've only seen a snippet of it, and this is through their local news there in Arizona, and we're just going to watch it and react, and I won't tell you about it and why something happened or didn't happen. So let's just get to the video, man. But before we do, make sure you watch the whole entire video. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, blah, 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 blah. Come on, man.
With new leaked videos from inside Arizona prisons.
And these videos are extremely violent, so consider this a warning in case there are young children in the room. You're about to see...
Okay, this is your chance. Any young children in the room? Here's your warning. And your warning's done.
Two brutal assaults inside two different prisons, but the separate attacks highlight the same major security risk. It's a problem we first told you about 2 years ago. Tonight, ABC 15 investigator Dave Biscobing continues to expose our state's dangerous and dysfunctional prison system.
It's November 3rd, 2020, and you're looking at a pod inside the Tucson prison at 9:55 in the morning. A lone officer checking a cell. Two inmates.
All right, for one, what he should do is have these offenders step away from the cell while he's searching. I don't know how staffed they are, if they're short-handed, but in a prison like this, which this seems like one of those prisons that are not one of your easy prisons where you just go and do a little bit of time and get out, and just by the way it looks. If you can, you try to have somebody come help you, have backup. If not, you are sometimes set in there by yourself. But take safety measures and have these inmates move to the other side of the day room. Keep an eye on them. Let other officers know, hey, I'm going in the search. I'm sure they got what's called a bubble officer, a module officer, a control room officer that's watching or nearby. They should at least communicate to one of them or their supervisor, hey, I'm going to be doing some searching, and go in and search. I mean, right away you knew something was up because all these inmates are watching. If they're gathered around like that watching, something is up. If they're like, oh, okay, Yeah, it's part of the CO's daily job. He does it every day. He searches. I'm just going to sit over here and wait till he's done and see if he gets me on some stupid stuff like, I don't know, extra pictures or something, because they can only have so many pictures. But usually when they're hovering, circling like sharks, there's something in there they're not wanting you to find. Not always, but usually. Uh-oh, it won't play. There you go. I think it's working now. Maybe not.
Tucson prison at 9:55 in the morning. A lone officer checking a cell. Two inmates then corner him and unload. One holds him as another wails away, punch after punch after punch. Another inmate just walking around as more exit an upstairs cell, and another comes from the bottom of the screen. After about 15 seconds.
All right, looks like he's got his spray out. I can see a mist. Hopefully he's gotten on his radio by now and called for help. Usually help is probably about 20 to 30 seconds away. Usually, not always. Depending on your institution, they could be just seconds away, or they could be, unfortunately, minutes away. 2 minutes will feel like 30 minutes when you're in a situation like this. Now, he's got his spray out. I don't think he's really making good contact with anybody. I think his main goal is to get space and get out of that hole over there. We'll see where it goes from here.
Seconds, the officer breaks free and begins to spray the inmates. They run and scatter. Think it's all over? Not even close. Just wait.
Historically, there should be staff rushing in already. If you're fully staffed and you called what they call the incident command system. However, that did not go down.
Carlos Garcia is a union director and former corrections lieutenant.
This is a pretty brutal assault.
Brutal. This is beyond.
See, most states don't have unions. The cat's always up here trying to get in the middle of these videos. Fine, stop. I'm trying to do a video. Most states don't have unions anymore. And most of the time, the unions really aren't that helpful in most states. Some, they just get you good pay. Some get you good pay and good benefits. Some get you good pay, benefits, and policies. But most of the time, you're going to sacrifice something. Usually, they just give you some good policies and backup, or they're just going to give you good benefits or just good pay. But I hear Arizona actually has a decent one. But I don't know. I've never worked in Arizona. And he's right. Usually by now, help should be at least at the door or in there by now. But so far I don't see anybody. But he's got his distance. It appears he's got it under control. But as the reporter states, no, he doesn't. So we'll see.
Brutal.
After spraying the inmates, the officer, still alone, and inmates begin to attack him again. Punches, kicks, stomps.
I mean, this guy's lucky he didn't.
I'm not sure why he didn't make it toward the door. I don't know where the door is in this pod. I'm guessing it's over to my left somewhere. I'm not sure why he didn't make his way there. I'm not sure. Maybe he's confused. Maybe they're blocking it. I don't know.
For kills. So literally, these inmates should have been should have been pursued for attempted murder, because they do everything, including kick his head like a football.
As a third joins in, this inmate appears to have hurt his foot after a kick in the head.
Yeah, I agree. If they didn't file some serious charges on these guys, I don't know why. And a lot of times prisons don't. A lot of times, in a lot of states, they will get off with no charges. Just extra time in the hole, sanctions. They'll get put in jail, and they call it even. Some states, they go after the jugular and file the toughest punishments they can, and others are like, oh, well, this is part of their job. So.
As a third joins in, this inmate appears to have hurt his foot after a kick in the head. He limps and has to walk it off.
He's like taunting him now. Oh, he's hitting him.
Yeah.
See how he's on the ground? I know it's easy to say, get up off the ground, get up off the ground. It's easy to stand here and say that. I don't know how he's feeling, what the injuries are, what he's thinking. But yeah, you got to make sure you don't get on that ground while they're standing, especially if there's more than one. And I do see a door over here to the left. So I think that could be where the door is. But he's got to get up off that ground. he's at a disadvantage, and he's probably got some, at least a concussion by now.
I mean, he's at that point, he's just at their mercy.
The inmates get tired and actually take a short break as the officer gets to the stairs. There, the inmates go after him again. One even tries to use his own spray can against him. The punches, kicks, stomps just continue.
Meanwhile, there's no response from staff.
Yeah, there's still no staff. How long we been going? A minute or two? Yeah, this guy's lucky he didn't die. And where are the staff? They got to be shorthanded.
The attacks continue.
We're at a minute 45 of this now.
Yeah.
Now we'll get to why no backup has responded here in a moment. But first, you should know something more about these inmates.
Here's one more thing to consider. The inmates that you're watching are not normal inmates. These are what they call in the department with their terminology as an override inmate.
Garcia says some of the inmates you saw are supposed to be level 5, maximum custody inmates, but they're in lower level security units. Their security level lowered in what's called a, quote, override. Here's another example.
I have worked at an institution that was a treatment center, and when I worked there, we would get inmates that would get overrides from C5s all the way down to a C1, just so they could go to treatment. And they go from a facility with double fences and what they call a kill fence or electric fence in the middle, to towers and cameras everywhere, to a level 1 or a treatment center that has a single fence and only a couple of cameras. And yeah, there was guys in there that had 900 years with guys that, were getting out in 2 weeks. So just they would override them so they could get treatment, because in the state I was in at that time, everybody's treatable is what they said.
June 21st, Florence Prison. Garcia says this override inmate has a job he shouldn't have, working in the kitchen with a lower level of security. This video has no sound, but there's an officer off to the left here. Something causes the inmate to chuck a food tray.
It kind of looks like he might have extra food there, because I think I see several of the same things. So he's working in the kitchen. He probably got caught stealing, and that's what happened.
Then move in. They're both off screen for a couple of seconds before you see a water cooler fly by, and then begin to see a vicious attack take place. Kick after kick after kick, followed by stomp after stomp after stomp. Those smears, blood from his shoe. The inmate then kneels down to deliver more blows. The officer isn't moving. He needed CPR and was airlifted to the hospital. From the start of the attack until backup arrives, 30 seconds pass.
30 seconds, about normal, about average. A good response would be a little less than that, because a lot happens in 30 seconds, as you can see.
Compare that to the attack we showed you first inside the Tucson prison. That assault spans a full 2 minutes without backup arriving. At the end, the officer finally gets away. The inmate with the gas canister chucks it as another officer arrives, followed quickly by a few more.
So here's the secret. According to the interviews with the appropriate personnel, there was a person that was watching him who was not from that unit. They were so short, they called another unit and say, come help us. They put that individual in that spot. When they tried to call for help, the radio did not work. It was busted. So they tried to call on the phone, no response. Okay? This person...
I've been there and done that. I worked at institutions where it was just me and over 400 inmates, and one control room bubble officer, module officer. And yeah, my nearest backup was sometimes about a minute away because of all the doors they had to go through. So yeah, I've been there, and sometimes my radio wouldn't work. And at that institution, most of the officers didn't have spray or handcuffs, and it was a level 4 institution, and so it got pretty hairy at times. And I've been surrounded before at that institution. I saw so much at the institution, so much death and violence, and part of the reason was we were just outnumbered and understaffed. Wow. Let's finish playing the last minute of this.
Their own unit that they originated from, saying, I'm desperate here, I'm watching an assault, and I can't reach anyone. I have no radio, the phone, I don't know what's going on. So the other unit now has to relay to this unit, you've got an assault going on. They're already short. 3 people show up, God bless them, but what you should have was at least 8 people running in here.
I'm investigator Dave Biskobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
What you just saw may not even be the most troubling aspect in all of this. Dave discovered the inmates in the Tucson assault were never referred for criminal prosecution until he started asking questions. Here's a timeline. November 3rd, 2020. That's the date of the assault, 8 months ago. Then in mid-June, we obtained the video and began working to verify details. June 17th, we reached out to the Pima County Attorney's Office to ask about the case. June 22nd, the County Attorney's Office calls us back to tell us they never got the case, so they reached out to prison officials to ask about it. Late June, Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry finally sends the case to prosecutors to be charged. Prison officials did not answer our specific questions about these.
Almost a year later, and probably only because of the pressure. Unfortunately, this is pretty common in a lot of your prisons that you don't hear about. Understaffed, issues not being taken care of, inmates not being held accountable. It's a dangerous environment. Well, thanks for joining me today. Leave a comment below, hit that like button, subscribe button, and join us again, man. Come on.